Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do a quick little tutorial for those who are new to Lenormand and just want a little bit of help or assistance with reading cards. I've been reading on and off for about 5 years, and so I just wanted to share some techniques that I've used over the years. All of the purists and people who are very technical and rigid about Lenormand, feel free to click off and please be respectful in the comments if you choose to stay. This is just a quick thing that I've used over the years just to quickly read cards. So I have four main ways of reading cards. One way is just the regular standard way of reading Lenormand, where the first card is the noun and the second card is like the modifier. So in this case, the fish, one of the meanings for fish could be money, and one of the meanings for mice could be stolen or to steal or thievery. So if I was reading this particular pair of cards just in the regular standard way, I can say that this could be either losing or stealing money, right? So money's the noun. And if this means to lose something or to steal something, I can change this to a modifier to this word. So to steal money, losing money, or something of that nature. That's like the standard way to read Lenormand. Like you just treat the first card like a noun, the second card modifies the first. The second way I like to read is just sometimes looking at the most literal interpretation of the cards. So for this particular set of cards, I see a mouse, and then another word for fish is business. So I would look at this and say, this is a mouse business. What type of businesses include or specialize in mice? I would think of like a pest control business. So I'm still using the regular way of combining the cards in terms of using this card to kind of modify the first one, but I'm using more of a literal interpretation. I'm just looking right at the card. I see mice and I think mice in business, to me, it makes me think of just like different businesses that include mice. So I would say like a pest control business, maybe even like a Petco, or different businesses that sell like hamsters or different types of animals, things of that nature. The third type of way I could read the cards would be more intuitively. Now, this way of reading, it really heavily relies on you understanding the standard definitions of the cards, but also really paying attention to the context of the question. Because with Lenormand, you can see the same two cards, but when you have different questions, you can yield different answers. So for an example, if I was just reading this intuitively, and maybe someone was asking about, their mental health, or that's not a good example because I don't like to do health readings, but maybe someone was asking about, how they've been feeling lately, or they want more information about what's been going on with them. I could look at this based upon that type of question and think maybe they're just like nervous or worried about their money. Maybe they're in the process of just like losing money, or something of that. Or maybe they're feel very anxious about money. They're scared to spend it. Maybe they've just been having some issues when it comes to their money. Maybe they have someone around them who's been taking money from them. Maybe their savings account is slowly dwindling. Maybe this is causing them some type of, stress at home or something. And then another example or way that I like to read, the fourth way, is when you kind of take it a step further and you try to find a real life example of the actual, combination of the cards, something like a pronoun. So for these two cards, since I see a fish, which can mean a business, an entrepreneur, a freelancer, it can mean independence or freedom. This can mean anxiety, nervousness, theft, deterioration. If I saw both of these particular cards and I thought about it and I was like, if fish means some type of like professional or businessman, and then this kind of talks about like anxiety or nervousness, um, what type of businessman kind of deals with anxiety? So if I use the previous technique of just reading it, I can say this is like an anxiety professional. And I would think, what type of professionals deal with anxiety? I could probably take it a step further and say, maybe this is like a psychologist or a therapist. So once again, it just depends on the cards. Those are just like four quick ways I like to read the cards. They seem similar, and yes, there's some overlap, but I think they all can build upon each other. And I think reading Lenormand the first standard way, where you just treat it like a noun and this is a modifier, I think that's great. But I think you can continuously deepen your understanding by reading the cards in a more literal way, because sometimes you can get caught up in your head sometimes when it comes to Lenormand, and I think it stumps a lot of new readers. That's why I wanted to share this. And then also, the third way is more intuitively. Once you read cards every day for yourself or you read for other people, you're going to start seeing certain pairs that when they come together, you're going to like quickly get your own thoughts about it without having to like sit that down and think about what does this mean and how can I modify this word now. You can just quickly, come up with your own thoughts. I have an example for that. And then the last way is just taking it a little bit further out and thinking about real life examples. So it doesn't just remain theoretical, but you can find real life examples about like what this would mean. Like I said in this example, like a therapist, a psychologist, if this is like an anxiety businessman or an anxiety professional, something of that nature. It's so many ways to read Lenormand, and I just encourage you to try different ways. And here's my last little example about like seeing two cards together intuitively, and sometimes depending on the question, you having certain hits when you see them together. Right here, I have the snake and the lily card. Sometimes this card can mean like the betrayal and like a backstabber, someone who's two-faced. It also can mean like challenges. Some people use it as plumbing. I've used this once and I had plumbing issues in my house when I did daily readings. It just depends on the context of the question. But say someone was asking me about like a love situation or something like that. Sometimes I could see these two cards together and I would immediately think about something of a sexual nature, like an older man who's like very sexual. He has like sexual desires. So once again, once you read the cards and you constantly read them, you'll just think of different ways of putting them together. I also have the heart card here. I want to go back up to the fish card because I wanted to give multiple examples really quickly. Like even with this, I could look at these two cards and think of, yes, the heart can mean like love or passionate about money, loving being an entrepreneur or a business owner, loving one's freedom or independence. And also, if I saw these two cards together, like in a romantic reading, I also can look at it as like an open relationship. Because this is about independence and freedom, and this is about like romantic love, possibly. It just depends. I also can look at this and think, a love professional. What type of people deal with love? I could think of maybe this is a matchmaker. Once again, a lot of things have to do with just the context of the question and knowing that there's multiple techniques to read the cards and they can build on each other. This also can just mean loving fish, as in like loving the food. You can do so many different things with these cards, and I just encourage you to try out different ways of reading. Thank you so much.